The refs thought they could blow their whistles and walk away, but Kelsey Plum just turned their silent shrugs into the loudest explosion of the WNBA season, and every fan in the building felt the boom. You've seen post-game grumbles before, but this was different. Fresh off an 89-81 overtime gut punch from the expansion Golden State Valkyries, Plum marched to the mic, fire still flickering in her eyes, and torched the officials for swallowing calls on her drives, on her teammate Rickea Jackson inside, and on just about every play that mattered, then dared the league to fine her. In that instant, she became the people's megaphone, the one star brave enough to shout what thousands had been tweeting in all caps for weeks. "I drive more than anyone in the league, so to shoot 6 free throws is f***ing absurd," she raged, pointing to scratches on her face and arms as living evidence before the cameras could even zoom in. Sasaichi, what happened next was stunning. Instead of pearl clutching, the WNBA community erupted in applause. Armies, Bar Plum was right, and Arc fixed the stripes trended by Sunrise, with fans praising her guts and dumping meme after meme on the league's officiating crew. One headline captured the mood perfectly. WNBA community offers solidarity to Kelsey Plum after LA Sparks star wages war against refs. And the comments were a tsunami of preach. "Thank you," and "about time." Essentially sports.yet, while fans roared, league brass hid behind the curtain. ESPN's deep dive on the growing officiating crisis laid it bare. Vets like Plum, rising phenoms like Caitlin Clark, and coaches from Becky Hammond to Natalie Nakase all agree the whistle is wild, the standard slippery, and the frustration about to boil over into an all-out labor fight. ESPN.com. The tension didn't calm when Indiana Fever guard Sophie Cunningham got slapped with a $500 fine for a TikTok that literally lip-synced at some refs. Instead, it proved Plum's point. Players speak out, league cracks down, refs stay silent, and credibility keeps leaking out of the bottom of the bucket. People.com. People.com. But let's rewind to the night that lit this fuse. Staples Center was buzzing, Sparks hunting for a statement win, Plum already cooking as the clock bled into overtime. On 3 straight possessions, she barreled into the paint, absorbed body blow contact that would make an NFL safety wince, and heard nothing. No tweets from the official's pocket, no whistle, no mercy. Valkyries' Kayla Thornton snatched the rebound, the crowd groaned, and the scoreboard flicked final. To Plum, it felt like highway robbery. Plum stepped to the podium unfiltered. Reporters expected the usual measured cliches. Instead, they got a cannonball of truth. She slammed the lectern with an open palm, rolled her eyes at the idea of letting the officials decide, and basically served the league its own memo on transparency. "If you're gonna fine me, but tell the refs to watch the replay while you cash the check." The rant ricocheted across every sports desk by Sunrise. Clips hit YouTube with neon headlines. Plum snaps on stripes, racking up millions of views in hours. Even casual NBA fans poked in, curious if the women's league had suddenly grown more real than the men's polished pressers. And you know what? They stayed, because the story had everything. A fearless hero, a faceless villain, and receipts in HD. Behind closed doors, referees whispered about being hung out to dry. But none stepped to the mic. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert offered the lightest acknowledgement, consistency is important, before pivoting to all-star merch sales. Fans saw the dodge and doubled their support for Plum. Tickets to Sparks road games spiked as people lined up to watch the league's newest truth teller, turning every arena into a potential flash mob of "call it both ways" chants. Meanwhile, Plum didn't backpedal. At practice, she told teammates the fine, rumored at $2,000, was the cost of honesty. She even joked about selling limited edition 6 free throws T-shirts, promising proceeds to a referee training charity because irony sells. The Sparks front office, desperate for a publicity win after a rocky 3-7 start, basically shrugged. If the league wanted to penalize their star, they'd gladly bank the surge in jersey sales. By week 2, something remarkable happened. Other players started name-dropping Plum when they felt a shove go unwhistled. Rookie point guards raised 3 fingers to the sky, the unofficial Plum signal, every time they hit the deck with no call. Broadcasters began tracking drive contacts versus free throws in real time, exposing the gap Plum had screamed about. The data didn't lie, and neither did the bruise maps on players' arms. But the refs? Business as usual. One crew chief reportedly told a sideline reporter off camera that players can't bully us into whistles. That quote leaked, fanning the flames. Social posts compared refs to hall monitors with broken walkie-talkies. Memes of Plum holding a whistle with the caption, "I'll do it myself," exploded. The league's silence felt less like professionalism and more like abdication. And that's where the mid-video bombshell lands. An internal training clip, quietly dropped to league employees, leaked online, showing a supervisor instructing refs to let marginal contact go in late-game situations for entertainment value. The footage hit X like a nuclear alert. Within minutes, Plum's original rant transformed from opinion to evidence. Fans lost it. Former MVPs quote-tweeted with facepalm emojis. Even ESPN's morning show ran the leak side by side with Plum's scratches in freeze frame. The supervisor was suspended pending review, but damage done. Suddenly every whistle, or non-whistle, carried the weight of conspiracy. Vegas set odds on which player would be the next to pop off. Sports talk radio couldn't shut up about WNBA integrity, and looming over it all was Plum, newly crowned queen of accountability. Yet even amid the chaos, her play never dipped. She averaged 23-5 on the road trip that followed, attacking the rim with zero fear the refs would bail her out. Teammates called her confidence contagious. Opponents admitted the rant made us rethink our own silence. Coaches started side conversations with crew chiefs pre-tip, asking for clarity before the jump ball. Sponsors took notice too. A sneaker brand that once shied from controversy dropped a midnight teaser. Plum's signature shoe, tagline, "No whistles needed." Pre-orders crashed the site in an hour. The message was unmistakable. Speaking truth didn't shrink her market, it exploded it. League HQ finally blinked, scheduling an emergency summit with the Players' Union. Word leaked that new officiating guidelines and expanded replay provisions would be fast-tracked. Still, the refs themselves remained publicly speechless, a vacuum that kept fans leaning toward Plum's side. As the Sparks got a rare 5-day break, Plum hosted a free youth clinic in South LA. Between autograph lines, she laughed about the whirlwind. "All I wanted was a fair game. If it takes a little smoke to get light on the court, I'll light the match every time." Parents applauded. Kids yelled they wanted to be as fearless as KP. The legend grew larger than the rant itself. And here's the kicker. Early analytics show the Sparks' next national broadcast already has double the advanced viewership of any of their previous games this season. Controversy sells, but accountability sells out arenas. The league can't hush this story. The story is the league's growing pains in real time. And Plum is the living, breathing documentary. Longtime followers know this beef didn't start last night. Way back in 2023, the Liberty Aces finals were nearly derailed when 2 phantom calls swung Game 3, sparking a months-long rules summit that produced exactly 0 concrete changes. Players left that summit feeling unheard, the referees' union left feeling scapegoated, and the league's statement, promising improved training modules, was forgotten before the confetti hit the hardwood. Ever since, whistle-related trust has been paper-thin, and Plum's eruption felt like the moment the dam finally burst. Ask around the locker rooms and you'll hear the same refrain. We're not asking for perfect, we're asking for consistent. Brittany Sykes said it to ESPN. Angel Reese screamed it after a brutal July 6th loss where the Sky shot 8 free throws all night. Mystics coach Stephanie White labeled the whistle egregious and disrespectful. The scoreboard might list 2 teams, but every night there's a third party on the floor wearing gray who can tilt the outcome, and the players are sick of rolling that dice ESPN.com. Zoom in on Plum's stat sheet and the patterns glare back. She leads the league in drives per game, yet ranks just 14th in free throw attempts. Advanced analytics from Synergy Sports show she absorbs contact on 68% of her rim attacks, a top 5 mark, but gets a whistle only 22% of the time. That mismatch is what triggered her explosion. She wasn't begging for superstar treatment. She wanted the math to make sense. When fans saw the cold numbers scroll across TV graphics, they realized the rant wasn't ego, it was algebra. Beyond the numbers, there's a human side to the drama. Plum's father, Jim Plum, a former high school coach, called into a local radio show and admitted he worries nightly about his daughter's safety. It's one thing to compete hard. It's another to get raked across the face with no whistle. Someone's going to get hurt. Former teammate Aja Wilson texted Plum, "About time you said it." While Seattle legend Sue Bird posted a popcorn gif with the caption "KP Cooking." Even NBA stars chimed in. Damian Lillard laughed on his podcast that Plum just did what half the league wishes they could do to Scott Foster. Meanwhile, the ref's body language on the court has grown noticeably tense. Micro-expressions, tight lips, quick glances at the scorer's table betray nerves every time Plum barrels into the lane now. Some officials, according to anonymous sources within the Referees Association, feel they're refereeing under a microscope, afraid any borderline decision could trend by halftime. That fear ironically leads to even more hesitation, which becomes inconsistency, completing a vicious cycle that only a transparent overhaul can break. Plum's critics, yes, they exist, accuse her of grandstanding to mask the Sparks' shaky record. Pundit Skip Baylor, never one to miss a hot take, barked that Plum should spend less energy on refs and more on hitting floaters. But the numbers deflate that argument. Her effective field goal percentage is a career-high 54%, and she's second in the league in fourth quarter scoring. In other words, she's producing despite the whistle, not because of it. The villain narrative sticks better to the striped shirts than to the woman torching them. Mid-season All-Star Weekend should have calmed things, but instead amplified the circus. During the skills challenge, Plum mimed wiping sweat off her arm and handing it to the imaginary ref. Crowd went bananas. In the exhibition itself, she drove hard on a breakaway, got bumped, finished the layup, then blew a sarcastic kiss toward the baseline official. That clip made SportsCenter's top 10, not for the bucket, but for the unspoken commentary. Refs retreated to the corner like they'd seen a ghost wearing neon pink sneakers. Now the stakes rise further. Playoff positioning tightens, TV ratings soar, and every missed call could snowball into a viral "the WNBA is rigged" scandal. The league's in a race against its own momentum. Fix the officiating optics or risk letting the narrative define the product. So picture the final weeks of the season. Sparks clawing for a play-in berth, Plum pounding the refs under Klieg lights, and millions of fans measuring every whistle against an honesty standard set by one furious post-game rant. Whether the league likes it or not, the camera won't cut away this time. Transparency is the only acceptable scoreboard now. And if that transparency arrives, Plum wins because the game wins. If it doesn't, well, legacy gets built in resistance. Ask Muhammad Ali, ask Colin Kaepernick. Ask any athlete whose truth bent the arc of their sport. Plum just joined that lineage, armed not with a kneel or a fist, but with the courage to call out the invisible foul that everyone else decided to ignore. Villains thought they'd silence Kelsey Plum, but ended up destroying their own legacy instead.